Good morning. How you doing? Well, I tell you what, it's here, and if it's not here yet, it'll be here soon. What am I talking about? Winter. We have our storms, of course, that we've been talking about. The one affecting the East Coast this weekend, and then we have our plains blizzard coming up, just now moving into the Pacific Northwest, and we have yet another storm or two behind those two, and some very cold temperatures by next weekend and into next week. So we'll talk about all of it right now. The weather starts right now. All right, first of all, just take a look at the infrared satellite. Oh, by the way, it's the morning of Saturday, January 6th, 9 o'clock Iowa time. Good morning. And you see our plains blizzard entering the Pacific Northwest right now with a bunch of mountain snow and some winter weather advisories for Montana and Idaho that we'll show you here in just a second. And I tell you what, it's going to be fun. Meanwhile, our East Coast storm getting its act together as it's moving out of Kentucky and in towards the Virginias. And yes, Virginia, you're seeing some ice with this. And West Virginia, some snow. And moving into the Northeast. So let's get into that as we check out what's going on around the country as far as the National Weather Service and watches and warnings being issued right now. And across the West Coast, it's just everything, right? Winter storm warnings for the Cascades of Oregon and the Siskiyous of Southern Oregon, Northern California. Winter weather advisories surrounding those. Also, the winter weather advisories for parts of Washington up near Spokane, the panhandle of Idaho, into Kalispell and Missoula, Montana. I'm not quite sure it's stretching down to Missoula, but I think so. Still with that light snow in the Arrowhead of Michigan with winter weather advisories. You see all of our winter storm warnings up for the East Coast. We have winter storm watches now from the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, northeastern New Mexico, a little bit of southeastern Colorado through Kansas, and eastern Nebraska, and just a little bit of western Iowa, which my county is included. I'm very excited. And then not to leave out the Four Corners, or even Southern California. So the Four Corners, we have more winter storm warnings, winter storm watches, and even down in Tucson, Arizona this morning, it is freezing. The freeze warning is coming true. And we have some wind issues for parts of Arizona. Also, the Guadalupe Pass area, the Guadalupe Mountains of West Texas, into the southern Sacramentos of New Mexico. California with some wind issues there. And a freeze watch for the valley. Look at that. And we have wind issues for Nevada as well as some winter weather advisories. I think we covered it all. So let's take a look at the GFS this morning and see what it says for our upcoming storms as we start this morning at 6 o'clock, so 3 hours ago. And here's our surface low with that upper level low we showed you earlier. Moving up the East Coast, we've got some pretty heavy showers and storms for South Carolina, North Carolina, into Georgia and parts of Florida. Also some rain in Tennessee and Kentucky, changing over to snow as you get into Ohio and Indiana. And there's your ice for Virginia and North Carolina. And then our next storm moving into the Pacific Northwest. And as we showed you on the satellite, it's actually more like here. And so we see some rain along the coast of Oregon and Washington, changing to snow as you get into the higher elevations of the Cascades and the Siskiyous, and starting to move now into the Sierra Nevada. Light snow from Minnesota into South Dakota. We might see some of that here in western Iowa later today. No accumulations expected. Same for Wisconsin into Michigan. But here's the main event. And we'll just watch this move up the coast, or move towards the coast and up the coast. So as we get into midnight tonight, which is right here, you can see all that heavy snow that's been coming down Pennsylvania, New York, now into Connecticut and Massachusetts. Rain along the coast, according to the GFS, but some very heavy snows for Connecticut and Rhode Island. Northern New Jersey also getting in on some of the light snow as the storm strengthens actually and then moves off the coast, lingering light snows behind it as we get out. This is actually tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon, and that's tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, because here's our next storm starting to form as we have snows very far south in southeastern Arizona and, of course, the mountains of Arizona, western New Mexico as well, and, of course, all across the Four Corners region, light snow happening here in Wyoming and still lingering in Idaho and Montana and right along the Canadian border with North Dakota as well. And as we put this into motion, you see that snow moving through El Paso into the Guadalupe Mountains, lingering light snows for New Mexico into Colorado. And we're starting to see some snow break out here, and it is on the light side. But this is Monday morning at 3 a.m. Central. So Nebraska, South Dakota, a little bit of Minnesota, starting to see some of that snow erupt. And now we're starting to see some rain ahead of the low. Some of this moisture and warmer air being pulled to the north into Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And as we get into, this is Monday, that would be 9 a.m. So heavy snows now in Kansas and back towards eastern Colorado. And a little bit of light snow up here, South Dakota, Minnesota, parts of Iowa, and also Nebraska getting in on this. Now, here's where this is the main event for where I live, right about here. And Omaha is right here. Heavy snow now for Omaha. This is noon on Monday. So I've already taken the kids and dropped them off in Omaha. I'm already leaving my lunch to pick them up in the afternoon. And assuming school didn't get canceled because it wasn't snowing in the morning, this is what I'll be driving into. So I'm very excited about that. Heavy snows in Kansas as well. And then we see the showers and thunderstorms busting out here ahead of it as we get into the afternoon. Snow lightening up for Omaha, but still there. Also parts of Iowa, western and southern. Still the heaviest snow now in Kansas and moving into Missouri. Rain south of that, and pretty heavy at that. So heavy snows in Kansas, and the low is starting to deepen. So these isobars getting pretty close together. Should be some strong winds here. If you have 35-mile-an-hour winds for 3 hours or more, reduced visibility with blowing snow, that's a blizzard. This could be a blizzard if it lasts long enough and the winds are strong enough. Meanwhile, heavy snow coming down still in Missouri. We are now at 6 p.m. Monday night. All right, let's move to midnight. Light snow in Iowa still, back towards Omaha. Snow becoming lighter in Kansas, becoming heavier in Illinois and Indiana. Showers and thunderstorms, maybe even some severe weather down here in Louisiana, Mississippi, into Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. Seeing some pretty good rains here. And as we continue, you see the heavy snow now with some pretty good winds still in Kansas and into Missouri. Heavy snow in northern Indiana and northwestern Ohio, I would say. Starting to move into Michigan now. We're at 3 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday the 9th. And then that storm continues to lift northward, bringing lots of rain further north. All of your snow getting rained on now, Ohio. Same with Indiana, although you had heavy enough snow here. May not be enough rain to melt it all, but where you've had ice in North Carolina and snow and ice in Virginia and West Virginia, it's raining and raining hard, and that's moving into Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, the strong winds and the blowing snow and the heavy snow continues from Chicago through Illinois back into Missouri. We're now at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, 2 or 3, something like that. Math in the morning is hard. Heavy rain moving up the East Coast. This is enough heavy rain to cause flooding by itself, North Carolina, South Carolina, and some rain on top of the snow causing more flooding problems as you get in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut now, also parts of New York, Meanwhile, snow and blowing snow continuing on the backside. Isn't this fun? Oh my goodness. Some people are not going to have fun with this. I get that. I'm just a snow lover and I'm excited, and I just love weather and I'm excited. But I do realize, just be safe out there, be careful, and hopefully not too much harm to people and property. That's the main thing. Heavy rain, Connecticut, into Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey. Could be some flooding problems. Still some snow blowing around Illinois. Now on the backside, you might catch a little bit of snow here in Tennessee and Kentucky. And it's lightening up for Michigan. And as the storm moves into Canada, the heavy rain lifts even further north and snow on the backside on the light side. And then our next storm is coming. Yeah, there's another one after this. Let's just move it forward real quick and show you. This is a little clipper system here, but watch this. We have another big storm possible. Now this is again getting too far in the future to be really confident about this, but this looks like another possible blizzard for Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and into Missouri and lifting into Indiana. So it could be another round of heavy snow and heavy winds as we get further into the forecast. Craziness. All right, well, it's on top of this. So how much snow are we expecting according to the 3 models in the Northeast before it gets all rained on? So when you look at this map, we're looking at 7, 8, 9, 10 inches across Pennsylvania. We're looking to a foot to 16 inches for parts of West Virginia. Lots of New York, 6 to 10 inches plus. Across Connecticut, 6 to 8. Across Massachusetts, 7 to 12. And even southern New Hampshire and Vermont. Long Island here with 5.3 inches, 5 inches for New York City. What does the GFS say? Well, less for Long Island and maybe a little bit more for parts of New York City. More snow here, according to the GFS, for Pennsylvania and into Connecticut. And so, but pretty similar solutions. The Canadian, about the same as well. Your snowfall amounts vary, but pretty much the placement is pretty close. Again, that low a little further offshore. We get a little more snow for Long Island and the city of New York. That low a little closer to the coast, and we get more rain for Long Island and New York City, and maybe lesser amounts closer to the coast. But I think the model's in pretty good agreement. This is kind of how that map's going to look in another day and a half. Well, what about our blizzard in the plains moving into the Midwest? Well, here's the European solution for those amounts. The bullseye here in Missouri with over a foot of snow, but widespread amounts in Kansas anywhere from 5 to 10 inches. And the same for Illinois. Chicago here about 5 to 7, depending on where you look on the map. Even parts of Ohio, half a foot of snow. Same for Indiana. Lesser amounts as you get up into Michigan. And where I live here, it's showing about 3 inches of snow. And then for Omaha, closer to 5. So what about the GFS? Well, where I live, it's showing about 3 inches of snow. And for Omaha, about 4. And this bullseye moves a little further to the east into Missouri and through Illinois with, we're talking a foot of snow, a plus, for a wide area here. And remember, those strong winds, this will be blowing around and drifting as well. In Kansas, you get hit pretty hard with this one as too. And the Canadian is my favorite because it has the most snow for western Iowa. This shows me at 9 inches or so, and close to 9 for Omaha as well. So I'm kind of liking that. And then less for Kansas here, still quite a bit for Missouri into Illinois. And also Ohio, you're getting in on both of these models. Let's see. Yep, that one. Yeah, Ohio looks like you're getting some good snow no matter what. But then remember, the second storm's going to come, and this storm, once it lifts higher, it's going to change back to rain. And then behind this system, it's going to get cold. Are you ready? Now, the reason why I picked this date, this is January 15th at 6 p.m. So sun's down for about an hour so far in the Midwest and maybe 2 hours for the East Coast and just starting to set mountain time. And you got another hour daylight in the West. And these temperatures are cold. And this isn't even the coldest map I could have dug out. The reason why I picked January 15th is because we have the Iowa caucuses on January 15th, and people will be showing up to their caucus locations across the state to caucus for the presidential, the presidential candidate of their choice on the Democrat side and the Republican side. And these temperatures, I mean, Iowa folks are hardy around here. Winter happens here quite a bit. But these temperatures look pretty cold. And you can just pick out your spot. I mean, we've got freezing temperatures south of Dallas, freezing temperatures, where else? Throughout Tennessee and into, Virginia, not quite to the coast. Cold temperatures, teens and 20s in New England. But the core of the cold, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, into Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, and Illinois, with quite a few temperatures below zero. In fact, at caucus time, across Iowa, the warmest temperature on this map is 0 for Mason City and Fort Dodge. I live in the county south of Denison. Denison at 6 below zero, Omaha 3 below zero, which I know is the other side of the river in Nebraska, but Council Bluffs right there, so -3. Creston, -6. You get the idea. So low, minus single digits for most. I don't know how Decorah got -0 and Mason City got 0, but anyway. It's going to be cold. Will people still show up to caucus? Yeah, I think that'll happen. I really do. So to summarize, we have 2 systems in the country right now. One moving up the East Coast that we've been talking about. And we just models are in pretty good agreement on who's getting snow where. The biggest question marks will be how close to the coast will the snow go, and how will that affect your snowfall amounts right along the coast and just inland. And then the other storm that's moving into the Pacific Northwest that's going to turn the corner here starting Monday into Tuesday across the Central Plains and into the Midwest and then up into the Great Lakes. That looks to be a doozy. Models in pretty good agreement. Kansas is going to get hard. Missouri's going to get hard. Illinois is going to get hard. Northern Indiana likely. Michigan, some good snows. Nebraska into Iowa. Well, we have a winter storm watch right now. The National Weather Service is saying 3 to 6, depending on where you live. And from what we've gone over right now, that looks like a pretty good guesstimate looking at Monday from Saturday. So we'll have more information as we get closer, as always. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have another update either later today or tomorrow, but we will talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Weather Mic.